Alrighty, welcome back to another state test review. Today we are starting on standard 7.RP.1, which is ratio and proportions. Ratio and proportions, I believe, the biggest part of the 7th grade state test. So these are the standards you want to make sure you pay attention to. Let's get right in. A snail moves 1/50th of a mile in 5/6 of an hour. If the snail continues at this pace, how far in miles does it move in 1 hour? So it's moving 1/50th of a mile in 5/6 of an hour. All right. So the first step that you would want to do is figure out how far it's moving in 1/6 of an hour, because there's no easy way to go from 5/6 to 6/6 by multiplication. So what we're going to do first is we're going to figure out how far it moved in 1/6 of an hour. To do that, we need to take how far it went in 5/6, which is 1 over 50, excuse me, and divide that by 5. Now, remember when we're multiplying and dividing fractions by a whole number, you take the whole number, you put it over 1. And then remember, when you're dividing fractions, you do keep, change, flip. Okay? So this becomes 1 over 50 times 1 over 5. Then you multiply across the bottom. Or I'm sorry, across. 1 times 1 is 1. 50 times 5 is 250. So in 1/6 of an hour, it moved 1/250th of a mile. So therefore, in 6/6 of an hour, it would go 6 times further. So we'll do 1 times 6, which is 6. 250 times 1, which is 250. That leaves you an answer of 6 over 250. Now, if this is on the calculator portion of the state test and you want to simplify the fraction, your calculator can simplify the fraction for you. If you put in 6 ABC, 250, and hit equals, it will simplify it down to 3 over 125. So you can do that and put in 3 over 125, and then you look even smarter. But the test should accept 6 over 250 because it doesn't say it has to be in the simplest form. All right, question 2. Tim is clearing brush from a large piece of land. The table shows how many acres he has cleared over that time. Okay? So, first thing we need to do is we need to pick one of these. We can work with any one of them. I'm going to work with the smallest one just because I like working with the smallest one. Okay? Because we're working with 2/3. He did it in 2 days. We're going to do the same thing that we did earlier. Okay? Here's how you know how to order it. Okay? So, I'm going to order this as 2 divided by 2/3. And last time, I put the 1/50th out in front. And the way that I know how to order things is based on what they want from me. Okay? What I'm trying to figure out in this top one is how many miles per hour it goes. So my miles went first because it is miles per hour. In this one, I want to know how many days it takes to clear the acre. So my days go first because it is days per acre. So let's put our whole number over 1 and do keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. So I'm sorry. Excuse me, it's been a long day. I made a mistake. Let me go fix this. We're trying to figure out how long it takes to... No, you could do it this way. You could do it this way. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. I'll talk about what I'm thinking about in a second. Let's keep going. 2 times 3 is 6. And 1 times 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now, my concern that I caught was that originally I was trying to figure out how long it would take to clear 1/3 of an acre. So since we know that it takes 2 days to clear 1 acre, we would divide that by 2. To find out how long it takes to clear 1/3 of an acre. Okay, and then we would do keep, change, flip. 2 over 1 times 1 over 2 equals 2 over 2, or 1, to clear 1/3 of an acre. 1 day to clear 1/3. Then to clear 3/3, we would need to multiply this by 3. One times 3 would be 3, so either way it works out. Okay. Days per acre. All right, let's go to question 3. Carrie's barbecue sauce recipe calls for 2 2/3 cups of water for every 8 pints of tomato sauce. How many cups of water does Carrie use when she makes barbecue sauce with 1 pint of tomato sauce? So here's the way we're going to do this. We need to know water per tomato. So we're going to put the water first. First off, it's easiest to convert the mixed number to an improper fraction. Remember, to convert a mixed number to an improper fraction, you take the denominator, you multiply it by the whole number, and then you add the numerator. So to change this to an improper fraction would be 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Your denominator stays the same. For every 8 pints of tomato sauce. So we're going to divide this by 8. So now we're going to do our division. Put the 8 over 1, and then do keep, change, flip. 8 over 3 times 1 over 8 equals 8 times 1 is 8. Oh my God, the focus is terrible. 3 times 8 is 24. So it would be 8 over 24. Or, since this is a calculator allowed question, you could just, well, first off, let's simplify with the calculator. 8 over 24 equals 1/3. So it would be 1/3. But you could have just done 8 over 3, 8 ABC 3 divided by 8, and you would have gotten the same 1/3. Actually, you didn't even have to convert this to an improper fraction. You could have 2 ABC 2 ABC 3 for 2 2/3 divided by 8, and I believe it would have given you the same, 1/3. Question 4. A faucet drips 2/3 of a gallon of water in 10 hours. Which rate is the unit rate of water dripped per day? Okay, so first thing we're going to want to do is figure out how many gallons of water drip in 1 hour. So if 2/3 drip in 10 hours, okay, we're going to do 2/3 divided by 10. Let's do 2/3 divided by 10. 2 ABC3 divided by 10 is 1 over 15. Calculator allowed, so we're going to use it. But here's the trick. That's for 1 hour. You're figuring out how much drips in 1 hour. Now we need to figure out how much drips in 1 day. Is an hour the same as a day? No. There are 24 hours in a day. So we need to take the 1 over 15 and multiply it by 24 for the 24 hours in a day. Put our 24 over 1. You get 24 over 15. 1 times 24 is 24. 15 times 1 is 15. Put this back in the calculator. 24, ABC, 15. It reduces it for you. 1 3/5, which is answer C. Question 5. A baker mixes 8 3/4 cups of white flour with 2.5 cups of rye flour for a bread recipe. How many cups of white flour does the baker mix for every 1 cup of rye flour? So we're going white per rye. White per rye. Okay. So this is an easy one, because when you look at only looking at every 1 cup, right? We don't need to do any multiplication at the end because everything's already in cups. Calculator. Hello. Calculator. So we're just going to put in what we have. 8 3/4. 8 ABC, 3 ABC, 4, divided by 2 ABC, 1 ABC, 2. And you get 3.5. It's just that easy. 3.5 cups of white flour for each cup of rye flour. All right, let's move along. Question number 6. No calculator allowed now. At a grocery store, a bag of 12 red apples costs $10.80, and a bag of 6 green apples costs $6.90. Which statement is true about the cost of the apples? Okay, let's look at our choices. The cost per green apple is less than the cost per red apple because 6 is less than 12. The cost per green apple is less than the cost per red apple because 6 divided by $6.90 is less than 12 divided by $10.80. The cost per green apple is greater than the cost per red apple because 6.90 divided by 6 is greater than 10.80 divided by 12. The cost per green apple is greater than the cost per red apple because 6.90 divided by 10.80 is greater than 6 divided by 12. So here's the thing you can look at first, before we even break down these choices. Which apple costs more? We don't even have to do math to figure that out, really, for this case, because you have 12 apples. Let's assume that each apple costs $1. Okay? Apple, $1. Okay? If apples cost $12 or $1, 12 apples would cost $12. Since 12 apples does not cost $12, it costs $10.80, we can assume that the price of red apples is less than $1. However, 6 green apples, if you bought 6 green apples at $1 each, you would expect to pay $6. This is $6.90. $6.90 is more than 6. So green, we know, is greater than $1. So we now know that green costs more, which means that we can get rid of either choice where green costs less. A is gone, B is gone. Okay? So now let's look at our last two choices. The cost per green apple is greater than the cost per red apple because $6.90 divided by 6 is greater than 1080 divided by 12. 690 divided by 6 would get you the cost per apple. 1080 divided by 12 would get you the cost per apple. Since this is greater than this, that is your answer. Dividing the two costs, doing cost by cost, doesn't get you anything. This is cost by cost. This is apples by apples. That doesn't work. You need to compare the cost per apple with the cost per apple, not the cost versus apple. Cost versus apple accomplishes nothing. Question 7, no calculator. Paige fills a large bucket with water. She fills it with 3/4 of a gallon in 1/4 of a minute. What is Paige's unit rate for filling the bucket in gallons per minute? This is asking how long you can, or how much you can fill in 1 minute. So, if this fills 3/8 of a gallon in 1/4 of a minute, then to get to 4/4 of a minute, we would have to multiply the numerator by 4. So let's do that. 3/8 times 4 over 1. 3 times 4 is 12. 8 times 1 is 8. And now you could simplify it, or you could just leave it as 12 over 8 gallons per minute. Or you could leave it as it would be 1.5 gallons per minute, or you could leave it as 1 1/2 gallons per minute, whichever you wanted to do. Question 8, spring 2022, calculator allowed. Darcy pays $37.95 for a 25.3 kilometer taxi ride. How much does Darcy pay in dollars per kilometer? You love these questions where it's just how much do they pay for one of something, or how much do they do for one of something, because when you do that, if it's just dollars per kilometer, you just divide the dollars, 37.95, by the kilometers, 25.3, and there you go. It's $1.50. If they only want to know per one of something, those are the easiest problems you're going to get in the ratio section. Just divide them and move on. Calculator allowed for question 9. Malik fills a pool with water. It takes 1/4 of an hour to fill the pool with 180 gallons of water. What is the unit rate in gallons per hour? So this is just like the previous problem. If it takes 1/4 of an hour to fill it with 180 gallons, then to figure out how much it fills in 1 hour, you have to have 4/4 of the hour. So you're going to multiply by 4. What's 180 times 4? Well, 180 times 4, let's do some scratch work over on the side. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 8 is 32. Carry the 3. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So it is 720. Question number 11. Calculator allowed. Sal pays $1.80 for 0.75 pounds of peppers at a market. What does he pay for 1 pound? Oh boy. I know this is getting repetitive. Trust me, I get it. But it's 1 pound of peppers. So just take the money, 1.8 per pepper, 0.75 equals 2.4, $2.40. That's it. And finally, question 11. Fahad walks 5/4 of a mile, 5 over 4 miles in 1/3 of an hour. At this rate, how many miles per hour does Fahad walk? So if he's going in 1/3 of an hour, to figure out how far he goes in 1 hour, you multiply by 3, because you want to get it to 3/3 of an hour. So you do 5 over 4 times 3 over 1, which is 15 over 4. So he walks 15 over 4 miles per hour. You could just put it in the calculator. 5 ABC4 times 3. 3.3. 3 3/4, which is the same as 15 over 4. 3 3/4. And that's it. That's 7.RP.1. So thank you for watching and hanging out. I'll be back with 7.RP.2. And oh boy, you do not want to miss that one. Until then, see you then. Good luck on your tests.